Prem Savalo Mahapati Mahadeva ki Jai. Shri Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. Tonight, everybody, welcome to our fortnight of Yagna, dealing with Shiv Gyan Yagna. From various texts we have been reading for the past 4 nights, touching on different episodes in our Mahadev Baba, in our Lord Shiva. Last night we did the history of Nataraj formation. In addition to that, we found a discourse that explains why does he really wear that tiger skin around his waist. We talked about the snake around his waist. He sits on the elephant skin. Some discourses talk about he's sheltering his shoulders with the elephant's hide. And to be clear for children, we went through why. The first night we did the discourse of Upamanyu, the child that prayed to him, wanting only milk and the benefit. Lord Shiva says, from today I adopt you as my own son. Then we did the second night with Ashok Sundari, the daughter of Lord Shiva. And we listened to how, because of the blessings of Mother Parvati, how this beautiful girl she's married to Raja Nahush. She gets a son by the name of Yayati. And from that Yayati comes down into the Yadu dynasty. That one day, many yugs, in the text it talks about, she says 21 yug. In terms of time, 21 yug, 21 times. The age will change, and then Krsna will come. Krsna is born in the line of the daughter of Lord Shiva. And what it showed was how intricate to the Leela, to the running of the universe, Lord Shiva is. It shows that there is more to him than we know and we see. Shivratri is coming, and many people are going to do worship. But they are worshipping and they don't know. So last night in our discourse we rehashed from Puran how the Lingam is formed. And we mentioned some of the rules for the Lingam, such as do not offer damaged bay leaves, the way we are to the Lingam, and others. There's so much that we could discuss about Shiv Baba. And last night in the comments, everybody wants to know about the 5-headed face form, the Panchmukh. I'm calling it Panchmukh, there are other names. Panchmukh form of Lord Shiva, Panchmukh Shiva. For the smallest child to understand, Panch is 5, Mukh is face, Mahadev Baba. Tonight this is our focus. As I aim, my objective is to give you, to present to you another wonderful discourse of your Shiv. For you to understand him a little more, for you to have more questions about him, for the love, the rust within you, for that seeker that lives within you, that I want to know more. I never knew that. I want to know more. Where did this come from and where that comes from? Then you are starting to activate the devotion inside of you. When you want to know more and more and more, and it seems as if you could never get enough, then you're on the right road. But when you think, like last night, the Munis who were in the forest, when you start to think, I know it all, devotees, then you are going down the wrong road. Tonight, we enter into our discourse, and during this time it was so opportune to do Yagna. Today is the Ekadasi day. For those people that are practicing the Ekadasi breath, for those of you that don't know what that is, every month you have 11 days after new moon, after full moon, and on this day, the 11th day, Ekadasi, the 11th moon day, lunar day, it is especially special. It is prescribed to worship Lord Vishnu. People fast from grains, they abstain from that, but they do his worship, the Sahasranam, the different things are offered to him. And they do so for 1 year. Some people never stop, they just do it after, continuing, doing for his blessings, for his happiness, for his glory. Today is such a day. Today is called, of all the Ekadasi, today is called Vijaya Ekadasi. Vijaya Ekadashi refers to triumph, victory. Vijaya, that is what it means. That devotee who prays to him, does his worship, touches the shaligram, drinks the shaligram water, panchamrit, or what we call charan amrit, that panchamrit that washes the foot of Mahavishnu, they get special type of blessings today. On this occasion, we get to enjoy the story of Lord Shiva. Tonight our focus is the benefit of working and using this for. Tonight is so much to condense in a little time, but we are going to use some of the mantra, some of the benefits, some of the offerings, why the history, where did this come from, this form come from, what does it represent, what does it give, and what does it show you about your Lord Shiva. Before we go into our discourse, join your hands, everybody. As we are about to begin with mantras, let's pray to the Lord for His choicest blessings. Om Gajananam Bhotaganadi Sevitam Kapeta Jambo Palachara Bhakshitam Umasutam Sho Kavinashkarakam Namami Vighaneshwara Parapankajam. O Bhavani, O Parvati Mata, you are always sitting together with your husband, with your best friend, and for our benefit you ask questions that we get to listen. We are like children listening to conversation between mommy and daddy. And because of that, we get the benefit when we listen to the secrets that only Shiv Baba knows. Tonight, we ask you for your blessings. Mother, wherever your children are, in those homes where there's trouble, friction, splitting homes, may you stretch your hands and bring peace in such homes. May you protect your children, Ma. Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvat Sadhike Sharanye Trayambike Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Think of Mahavishnu as we chant prayer from Minayam Suktam. Hari Om Sahasrashira Samdevam Vishwak Sham Vishwasambhavam Vishwam Narayanam Devam Aksharam Parampara Narayana Paro Jyoti Atma Narayana Paraha Naraya Param Brahma Tattvam Narayana Paraha Narayana Paro Dhyata Dhyanam Narayana Paraha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. One last time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. From the Bilva Ashtakam. Aganda bilva patrena pujita Nandikeshwara Shudayanti Sarva Papebhyo Eka bilva Shivarpanam. I offer one leaf of the bale tree, the bale leaf to Mahadev Baba, for if it is uncut, if it is not damaged, and it is offered Nandi, everybody. If one leaf is given to the bull where the lingam is, Nandi is there. If you rest the bale leaf, forget the lingam is great. If you even rest it on Nandi, you will get purified of the sin, but it must not be cut. Remember that? Danda koti sahasrani Vyajapestanischa koti kanya mahadanam Eka bilva shivarpanam. I offer one bay leaf to Lord Shiva, because that one bay leaf is equal to gifting thousands of elephants, cows in Dan, performing fire yagya, giving in Kanya Dan, all the girls you can imagine. That one bay leaf is so powerful. Mulato Brahma Rupaya Madhyato Vishnu Rupini Agrata Shiva Rupaya Eka Bilva Shivarpanam. Remember I said we offer the bay leaf because somebody lives on the surface of the leaf. I offer one bay leaf to Lord Shiva, as Brahma resides at the bottom of the leaf, Lord Vishnu resides in the middle portion, and Lord Shiva lives on the tip. There is no separation between the three sprangs of the bale, but in the portions as it is given here, Mahadev, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva live there, and for that reason we offer it unto him. When a person does so, as if they are living in Kashi, they gain forgiveness. They gain the washing away of their sins. Darshanam bilva vrukshaya sparshanam papanashanam aghora papa sangharam eka bilva shivarpanam. I offer one bay leaf to Shiva, because after seeing, touching and washing the bay leaf and offering it, a person, just as if they do aghoric mantras, if they do different type of great Shiv Puja, by darshan and by gaining the blessing of seeing this tree and then offering it, a person is freed from great amount of sin. Om Namah Shivaya. Everybody at home, come on. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Umapati Mahadev ki Jai. Again, Sitaram, and welcome to everybody. If you're coming in late, tonight we continue in our Yagya. Tonight is the fourth night, and we are listening, we are learning about our Lord Shiva. For the past few nights we have been reading from various texts, going into his discourses, his secrets, his katha, his form. Tonight we are going to focus on this form. This is a very small murti. There are larger ones throughout the world of the Panchmukh. They are different names. Panchanaya. Each head, as we will hear tonight, has a different name. In this murti, the artist has placed, for our simple understanding, all the head look very similar, and this is very common. But in reality, they have different colors. If on the internet, if you happen to go on Tirat and in the caves in Mumbai, you will see that they have different colors. Some look golden, yellow, red, etc. Each one has a different symbolism and a different purpose. Tonight, as you heard in the Bilva Ashtakam, when a person does agoric mantras, for the person that is looking for forgiveness of different mistakes, sins, they are going through hardship, here comes a form that a person can utilize, pray to, show devotion, and in this form you'll be able to overcome great amount hurtful amount, hurtful, regretful type of sins, actions. Maybe when you were 19 you did it, and now you are 50 and you are feeling bad about that mistake. Tonight, that is our focus. How to get forgiveness. Shivratri, everybody knows Om Namah Shivaya, we do prayer, but you have to remember that when you get the opportunity to pray, our first night we spoke about praschit karma. When people have desires, let's say somebody has a sickness, somebody wants to get married, somebody wants to get a job, to make money to feed their family. That person in that perturbed state really cannot sit down like a sadhu and do prayer. When his mind is focused on his family and the needs that they're in the householder lifestyle in particular, or the body is ailing and you are in physical pain, there must be ways and methods where a person can help himself. Sometimes people forget this part and they tell a person, you should pray for salvation. But dear brothers and sisters, the first step in gaining that mukti is death has to happen. What about now, whilst life is with anybody and we are going through our trials day in, day out, day in, day out? We need to be able to understand and learn that when we have a need, we ask for help. And then as you grow in your dharma, as you grow in your faith, then you can elevate. But you don't jump to that state just like that. It comes with growth. It comes with development. Your persona. Tonight, let's do our Sumiran before we go forward. Everybody, please close your eyes, put your hands together, and let's pray. As we are about to enter into the Shiv Puran first, and then we are going into the Lingam Puran. Gauri Shankar Pad Kamala Prema Sahit Hele Srimad Shambhu Puran Ke Bashar Jahushva Shruti Sambendanadi Shiva Samba Sachidanand Nirguna Brahma Vilaka Ek Dhyayami Sukhakan Jai Ge Maya Paya Jaga Baupalan Leho Shambhu Shambhu Jasuvala Pavat Gauravadoi Mata Pita Guru Bharati Ved Vyasa Munish Prema Sahit Kar Joda Kara Sabahina Vahushesh Gauri Shankar Pad Kamala Prema Sahita Hele Srimad Shambhu Puran Ke Bashar Jahushva Srimad Shambhu Puran Ke Bashar Jahushva Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Umapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. Tonight, to give you the information that those of you had messaged last night, Baba, please read about this Panchmukh form. Please read about it. Where do we hear about it in our text? This is where we begin. So we are going to go at the end. He's taken this form. And for that we enter into Shiv Puran, Rudra Samhita, Yuddhakan, chapter 24. In this section, we enter where Sanat Kumar, one of the little boys, and we're going to hear more about them. One of the little boys, there are 4 sons of Brahma, old, but they look like little boys. Sanatan, Sanat Kumar, Sanat, and Sanandan. They are always in our text when we are doing Tarpan offerings, when we are doing Shrad, when we are doing Yagya, when we are doing reading. They are there. When Parvati Mata in Brahm Vaivat Puran had done Putrishti Yagya, that is the discourse where Krishna Bhagwan comes to take the form of Ganesh Baba for her. Sanat Kumar is the Pandit who is doing that Putrishti Yagya. Now, this young boy, physically young but old soul, very knowledgeable, is describing how the fight between Lord Shiva and that jalandhar, that demon. This has to do with the formation of the Tulsi plant. This has to do with the shaligram is going to come, and it has to do with this. The sunk that is created in this discourse. Why Mahavishnu in his hands, if we are celebrating the Ekadasi, why does he hold on to that sunk? It comes from this section. Sudama in Golok, from same Brahm Vaivat Puran, he gets strapped from Radha Devi, and she says, you go upon the earth and you be born as a demon. Long story short. And that Sudama is reborn as Vrinda, or what we will say Tulsi, husband. Now they are on the battlefield. We are entering into the place. Lord Vishnu is distracting the wife at home, and Lord Shiva is fighting this great menace, this great demon on the battlefield. Kali Mata, Veera, Bhadra, Bhairav, all of them had failed, and they pulled back because he's so powerful and he's protected by Mahavishnu. Why? Because of the purity of the prayer of his wife. So Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, they know they have to break her prayer in order to be successful. So whilst Lord Shiva is dancing with the Trishul on the battlefield and going at him, Lord Vishnu goes behind the wife to stop her from her prayer. Tonight we focus on the fight between Jalandhar and Lord Shiva. As we enter into these verses, before we go forward, let's hear what happens. Jai Bole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Bole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Bole Baba, Jai Bole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Sama Sada Shiva Tab Sharanam, Gauri Tatvidhi Drishtava Lokinkang Shri Darshanyati Vaibhava Prakriti Eva Shivo Pyati Tammanasyati Jaya Bhole Baba Tav Sharanam Tato Jalandharo Yeta Vaigrahtiya Tvaya Bhir Vipya Vyatam Manasya Apusha Dhanka Manasta Jaya Bole Baba Tav Sharanam Jaya Bole Baba Tav Sharanam. Jalandhar is shooting arrows at Lord Shiva, and he's waiting for the opportunity to react, because every time he throws a weapon, whatever Lord Shiva shoots at him, Jalandhar is protected. Jalandhar creates an image through his power where Shumb and Nishum, deception now, to lose, to interfere with the balance of Shiv Baba mind. He creates an illusion that Shumb and Nishum, these two great demons, have kidnapped Gauri Mata, Parvati Mata, and they are running away. And in the moment, Mahadev Baba drops his head. He drops his head. Sanat Kumar says, to see her in distress, knowing fully well it is not true, but to still see it, it weakened him. And in that moment, Lord Vishnu is successful in his work. The person who is doing prayer, I said it this morning when I was doing broadcast, I was doing puja again. And remember this, sometimes our elders have rules that somehow don't work for the younger people. One example, put down your phone. Look trouble. Pandit Vesin. Put down your phone. Don't be on your phone. The phone ring. Don't answer the phone. We're in puja. We're in prayers. The call is important, mommy. The call is important that I have to take it. Why is there any basis for this? And yes, there's a basis for it. When you are engaged, and I'll keep my point only to the confines of the person who is doing prayers or preparing for prayers. When we have puja, remember there are rules we maintain in terms of fasting, husband and wife fasting, abstention, celibacy. If there is a death in the village, we are not going. That place is unclean. And I must maintain my purity as I am preparing for worship. Similar to that, there's rules when people die. When do you become unclean? If it is more than 3 generations away. If it is somebody close but not related. When do you become affected? Meaning, when do you become unclean? When you hear of it. When you are informed. Somebody is abroad and they have died maybe a little while. But I didn't know. But as you are told, you become unclean. Different period of time depending on who has died, how long they have died. So for that reason, because now that is going to interfere with the outcome of your puja. Remember we spoke last night at length about the ignorance. When you are doing prayer, what you're doing wrong, like the munis in the forest, don't feel you're going to get the best outcome. So we want to do that type of prayer and get the most reward out of this prayer. Then we need to do it correct. And what you may not realize, somebody calls on the phone to say, so and so died. Stop the prayers. Hold the prayers. There are rules. And this is one. You could be doing your vret and you are informed of that person dying. And depending on who it is, that affects your prayer. Because now you are unclean, you are not fit to do that. However, for this reason, when the person is doing prayers, please remember this. Prayer, worship is supposed to be a very, very serious affair. I don't know how you feel about it. But when you approach that deity, every time you get to sit to do your puja, here comes an opportunity for you to take hold of your destiny and to change what's going on. And if you play foolish with that, well then take what you get. But if you don't squander the moment and you make use of the moment, then with the effort that you are exerting, you're going to see for every action there's a reaction. Tonight, as we go into this discourse, please listen to how, when using prayer, you'll be able to overcome the problems that you have. When Lord Shiva was aware now that Lord Vishnu was successful and Jalandhar is no longer protected, then, oh dear ones, Shiva, that great god, took the terrific form where he has 5 heads, 1 in front, 1 behind, 1 to the right, 1 to the left, and the 5th head is shooting upward. In this example, the artist is showing you 5 heads. If you're on my TikTok, if you are on my Facebook, I put up pictures for you to see. But the artist, limited by 2 dimensions, cannot show the true arrangement. But if you look at a sculpture, you will see the heads go around, and so in every direction they are watching. He takes this horrific form, and all the devatas, all the Yagnas roar when they see him. And in that appearance comes the full force Sanakumar says it has been a long time since this old, ageless form has been seen. The daityas become shaky and they flee in all directions. Prem Sabalomapati Mahadeva ki Jai. This is that form, the Panchmukh form of Mahadev Baba. We enter into the Lingam Puran chapter 10, where more information continues. In one time where Parvati Mata and Shiv Baba, they are sitting in Varanasi, and Mother asked a question, "Oh Mahadev, you who are so powerful, so great, ageless, birthless form, how could you be adored, and by what means can you be made happy? What is the greatest source or the greatest method that a person can tap into? Tapasya, Gyan, knowledge, yoga, different type of job, different type of karma, different type of bhakti. What is the means to win you?" Sujji Goswami is speaking, and he says, on hearing the words of Uma, looking at her beautiful face, seeing the interest in her, genuine interest, the daughter of Mena, the wife of the Himalayan mountain, he says, "Oh noble lady, Leela, now when you are in this beautiful city of Varanasi where I dwell, you have forgotten all about what we were talking about, and you have moved on to another issue. You know, long time ago, Brahma inquired the same thing that you are asking me now. O fair one, in the Shwaita Kalp, Brahma found me in the Sadhyojata form, another form of Lord Shiva. In the Aghora Kalpa, he found me in a black form. And during the Vishwarup Kalpa, he witnessed me in multicolors form, Ishana, and he spoke to me. In the Vama Dev form, O Tatpurusha, O Aghora, O Sadyojata, O Maheshwara, O Mahadev, God of gods, I have found you after chanting the Rudra Gayatri. Who can overpower you, and by what means would they be able to have a meeting with you, see you, understand you? Because to understand you is so complex, O Lord Shiva. Your Leela, as we are learning, his forms are many. It's not just Hanuman. He comes as the son of Lord Krishna. He comes as, let's say, a Pandit to Lord Krishna in Durvasa form. His adopted son, Upamanyu, is Lord Krishna's guide. Is a lot. Lord Shiva replies to him, "O lotus-born one, Brahma, I am overpowered by devotion." This is the answer. When you wish to win Lord Shiva, what do you have to do? Practice devotion. I can be worshipped in many forms, but the Lingam is my favorite. Mahavishnu and you have witnessed me throughout time in different Leela, in different form. But of all, the Lingam remains the most powerful. I can be worshipped where I have one head or where I have 5 heads. And what is the most potent mantra? What remains the most potent mantra? It is said here, it's Skand Puran as well as Padma Puran, the Anusha Puran, the Panchakshara mantra. Na Ma Shivaya, 5 syllables. Om is Pranav mantra. That's a separate, that whole thing is a mantra by itself. But the 5 syllable mantra is more old. It has been there since time began. So please bear in mind, On Shivratri night, if you don't know Rudra Gayatri, but I could post it up for you. If you would like it, please send me a text. If you know it, please let me know tonight in the comments. Please share the satsang so other people could learn about these things. But make sure and leave me a comment. Devotees, when you are doing your Shivratri, remember it's simple, it's not necessarily weaker. Using that Panchakshara mantra, he's giving us clear, definitive guidelines. That this mantra is older than the Mrityunjay mantra. That Trayambakam mantra that we like to use, that isn't found in Ved. That mantra is not that old. But the Panchakshara mantra is. He says, you who are born out of that cosmic egg, you should have an audience with me today because of your devotion alone. There is nothing else. There is no currency. Remember we said that? The currency to find God. What is it? Your surname? Is it your financial riches? Is it your gender? Does God love men more than he loves women? Or does he love young people more than older people, or vice versa? People who are devoted. Time and time again, especially in Shiv Puran, you will come across little children that are able to bring Lord Shiva down to the earth. That Lord Shiva is called because of the innocence and the strength of their prayer. Older people might think, I know what I'm doing and I'm knowledgeable of my prayer. We saw that last night. I know all the prayers. I know everything. I will win Lord Shiva. And sometimes because of the ego and the arrogance, they miss the boat. But an innocent child with faith depends on him. Lord Shiva, help me to win Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, help me to win Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, make it, bless me that I must get through it, Lord Shiva. Innocent. Not knowledgeable of mantras, stotras, none of these things. But the love in their heart is so pure that he is helpless. And he says, Brahma, only because of that, you are speaking to me right now. You desired at one point for me to fill you with that devotion. And I accepted that task easily, gladly. And by my will, the goddess, the unseen Devi, the Prakriti, the creative process, she increased your devotion. And because of that, you visualized me within your heart and then outside. I declare the truth, my weakness. I can be overcome and overpowered so very easily by ardent devotion. O Parvati, this remains the truth till now. I can indeed be visualized. I can be seen. I can be called, and I will have to come. If a person with true faith adores a lingam, I am helpless. When a person has faith, they follow the steps of dharma. What has to be done, what is offered next, how to do it, what is to be said, what is not to be said, how to act, how not to act, dharma. Faith is of twofold. That dharma splits into two things. The gyan, the knowledge, what, let's say the sinur is the red powder, the hardi is the yellow, the knowledge, the mantras, the posture, how to sit with the mudra, and then the tapasya, the fasting, the japing, the sacrificing of sleep, the singing for him. That love, those things constitute the faith, the shraddha that you are going to exert for him. And in that devotion, you will find him. Through these things, heaven, emancipation from the sansara, these things become possible. And one can find me by devotion alone. Prem Sabalomapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. Now we're going into the details of these five forms, the history of these five forms. So far what we have learned is answering the question of Brahma, how is it possible? But now to gain that Gyan, this is what is going to be read now. You are going to learn about the tapasya to please this form and what is the benefit. And if you are writing notes home, please write. The first thing I want to mention before we go forward, our idea of the earth sometimes is very limited. We know about, let's say, we have the idea that the dinosaurs were there millions of years ago. And when they say millions of years ago, we say, okay, it's there, we find bones, we see oil from the fossilization process, and we understand that those things existed. But amongst the ancient religion, lifestyle, culture, Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma, puts the age of the earth and this entire universe much older. We construct time, we have an idea about Satyuga, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga. And for some reason, many people think there's one Satyuga, there's one Dwapar, there's one Treta, and we're in Kali Yuga right now. Those four things, imagine you have a circle, a pie, a pizza, whatever, and you cut it into 4 sections. Each quarter is a yug. But the whole circle is a kalp. Now this is something we don't really talk about, kalp, because the concept of time is so big in a kalp. A kalp from Puran, I want to say 4,000 million years. That's a lot of zeros. Human years. That is one kalp. That is the time, as they have in different texts they have it, a calculation of how long a yuga is, and you add it up together and you get a kalp. In tonight's discourse, you will hear the 19th kalp, you will hear the 30th kalp, you will hear the 20th kalp. And what is happening in the kalp, just to be clear, creation begins with Satya. It starts creation, God brings back everything, and He starts to merge, and the atoms come out, He releases the energy, and creation begins, and the different ages run, and then Mahapralay, or everything is received and pulled back, destroyed. So a recycling happens, but then what happens? It comes forward again. The creation begins again, and we have a new kalp beginning. The energies that constitute you and I, the energies that create the sky, the solar system, the Milky Way, the galaxies, and all these things are the same energy from the unmanifested God, but they manifest in different ways. They take different forms, shapes, description. In our text, for example, you have creatures that we have never seen. In the Mahabharata, for example, Gatukach is a huge giant. In the discourse where Garud's cousins are being discussed, a race of venomous snakes are being placed into another realm. If these people are, let's say nomadic, without computer, without cell phone, without internet, without these type of advancement, we don't know how to travel in different realms up to now, but we have Sutal, Patal. It's very similar to what the Norse people believed in with Almhelm and Valheim and all these other places. We had our names for those things, and in those times it talked about a race of dragons. If you look at the Sap Suktam from Rigved, they talk about a race of dragons that rule the earth with great venom. Where would that image come in the mind of the person who is writing that? Think about it. And as the kalps are changing, Brahma thinks, what else could I create? How else will it look? What else could I do? Do you honestly believe that we are the only thing God created? That on earth alone has all the life? How does evolution happen? How does it change? But it only stops with the human birth. In our text, it talks about as Lord Vishnu is dreaming, he is looking at the creation, and new forms are being created, like dreams. He is seeing them, new worlds, new universes, and the creation is ongoing until it reaches to a point where it needs to be recycled. The avatar comes and goes to help the creation, to guide them along. Tonight, let us deal with the first head, Sadhyo Jata, the middle head, right? Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. 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 Katha में दृष्टवा ब्राह्मण सद्यो जातं महेश्वरं वामदेव तत्पुरुष महात्मनं पुराण पुरुषोत्तम अंगोरा जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल चतेशन ईशाना यत बुद्धे द्वे युक्त महिषी एको नात्री शंककल्प श्वेतकल्प विज द्विजयाते जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल 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 उमापति महादेव की जय. These 5 heads, the middle one, Sadhyojata. On the right hand side, Vama, not Vaman like Lord Vishnu, Vama, Dev, Tatpurusha, the one on the extreme, Aghora and Ishana. Those are the 5 heads, that's their name. This is the story of the middle one, the first one. In the 19th Kalp, one after the other, the Kalp that is named Shweta Lohita. In that Kalp, Brahma engaged in meditation as he would in every Kalp when creation is about to start. Creation has not started yet. Brahma is sitting by himself in emptiness, nothingness, and he wants to begin the process. And he starts to meditate on the unseen, unmanifested energy. Please give me the assistance and the inspiration on how to create in this Kalp. What would the creation look like? How will it behave? How will it manage? Please give me that inspiration. Did we say last night? In your body, there is something unseen. Let's say he's he's sitting in the back of your head here, and you don't plan, you don't tell yourself half them thing, but something is we talking there. Pour more salt in that pot. Don't wear that up. You're looking fat. That's our line. Check that school book. In different ways, something is be hitting you. We call it conscience, we call it subconsciousness, we call it the chit. Simple language, let's call it Lord Shiva, guiding you from the inside. Brahma does the same thing. And in doing that meditation, a little boy appeared. All he had was a turkey on his head, and he came to be known himself as the Shweta Lohita form. And from the sight of that form, Brahma with his 4 heads bows to him, receives him, and reveres him, because he knows this is the manifestation of the energy. And from, as he says to him, he talks to him, he prays to him, and he says, I wish to create, may you please bless me with the sons that I need to further create the animal, the different forms of life, big, small, alike. Thereafter, 4 sons emerged out of the hair of that Sadhyojata, Those names were Sanand, Nanda, Vishwananda, Upananda. All 4 of them great souls. And in each cult, follow me, in each cult, and every time the earth, the universe is recreated, they come back. Those energies, those souls come back, but in different forms. They look different. They may appear different, but the Jiva inside the body is the same. Brahma always surrounded by the 4 of them, because they are of the power. How does Brahma do this thing? Children in university will say, you know, if there was only one man, one woman, how do we have genetic diversity? Think about it. If everybody came from one source, that does not make sense. In the Hindu belief, as time is changing, different lords, these 4 boys look like little boys. But from them came different creation, and from that creation came different stream, blood type, genetic type, and as time is passing and morphology changes, that change develops with them. So certain traits on the body, for example, like the nose, in different regions of the world, a person's nose might be one way, another person's nose might be a different way. Hair texture, skin color, height, weight, girth, different things. And that is just in the human. Think about in terms of evolution. When things only lived in the water, there's a cult where the entire earth is covered in water alone. There's no land, and everything was aquatic. But the Jiva, the energies that lived, maybe you and I was a shark. Understand the concept of time. They are always with him. Thereafter, the great sage by the name Shwait, the little boy, also called Hara, Shiva. Lord Brahma started to worship Sadhyojata, and with great devotion kept praising that untapped Brahman. The Brahman, when you hear that word Brahman, not to be confused with Brahma, not to be confused with Brahmin, this is Brahman. Brahman means the energy that gives, that comes into, from unmanifest to manifest, from nothing comma tree, from nothing comma stone, but is the energy he's worshipping. Therefore, Sukdev Goswami speaking to all the rishis of Brahmanas, those people who worship Mahadev Baba, Vishweshwar, after being engrossed in what? Breath control. The young boys that were born, they practice breathing control. Me and you do that in yoga. We're going to do Jap Shivratri night. A good idea, a simple idea. Remember this: 4-4-4. Inhale, hold, exhale, and you push out all the air. Calming yourself and doing that type of breath control before you do job gains more merit. With mental devotion to the little boy, to that form of Ishwar, they gain liberation from sins. Therefore, till today people do that worship. Till today people worship this form of Lord Shiva, that first head. And they will have the splendor of Brahman, where they are free from all the impulses, the things that keep us, you know, like how animals have season to reproduce. I'm not in control, but when the weather changes, my mind changes. When the moon changes, the sea changes. When the weather changes, the tree leaves in some parts of the world change. I'm not in control. But when you overcome that and you have control over yourself and truly in control of yourself, they will reach beyond the abode of Lord Vishnu and they enter into the unseen, unmanifested. It is as if they return into the one Brahman, into the energy source from where we all come from. In Gita it does say that when you pray for this thing called heaven, you go up into the lok of Indra, you go into this place, that place, but after you burn out all the merit, you have to come back into the earth. And again, you continue like this. But just by practicing the breath control, by practicing the worship, and overcoming those inert animalistic urges. The four sons of Brahma, Sananda, Nanda, Vishwananda, Upanda, they were able to return from where they came, from the body of that Shweta, that little boy, that Lord Shiva. They went back. The next chapter now, chapter 12, in this Lingam Khan, Sutji says, in the 13th kalp, from the beginning of time, when the wheel of the sansar starts to turn for the first time, check, 13 cycles have passed. The 13th cycle is called Rakta Kalpa. In this cycle, Brahma of great splendor, he took a form where he is very red. Being desirous of sons as he's about to begin the creation process, again he meditates on the Brahman, the energy from the nothingness, and he speaks as it were to the atoms. May you please manifest, may you allow your bonds to come together, covalent and ionic bonds, and bring together molecules and particles and take shape, to give me the inspiration, to give me the guidance, so that I can do the bidding of this universe. This is Brahma we are talking about. And a boy takes form, great stage, great resplendence, manifested himself. He was adorned in red ornaments, the earring, the chain, whatever, wore red garland of flowers, red dhoti, red kanhawar around his neck. His eyes were even red, and he seemed with muscles very strong for his young age, very valorous in terms of the marks upon his body. At the sight of this noble child in his red garments, Brahma again bowed to him and practiced great meditation, as he understood this to be the same Sadashiva. Brahma of self-control bowed to him. So in the Murti, on the right hand side, the first head after Sadhyojata, the Sadhyojata is a white Shweta, means white like Shweta Vahani Saraswati. This Vamadev is a red face, a red in color. He bowed to Vamadev and contemplated on him and spent time with him and sang his praises, did mantra jap, etc. Vamadev says to him, since, O Brahma, I have seen you meditating on me with the desire for a son, and with great devotion you have utilized the mantra Om Vamadevaya Namah. Using this simple but powerful mantra, you have attained great strength in your meditation, in your job, and you have come to know me in my manifested form and my unmanifested form as Ishwar, O creator of worlds in every kalpa. Thereafter, 4 sons are always born to you to assist you in your task. O pure Brahma, today I give you your sons. In this kalp they will be called Virajas, Vivahu, Vishokha, Vishwabhavna. They were as pious as Brahma, their Shishya, their children. Besides being heroic, enterprising, they were all clad in red. Their body was pasted with red. Their body was reddish in color. And they would maintain their body with red ash. And at the close of that 1,000 years of Brahma's time, one year, one cycle of the planet is 1 day of Brahma. So 1,000 years make up the kalp. And after the kalp had passed, they re-entered into Mahadev. The 4 of them went back into him. They re-entered that great Lord. In the meantime, they constantly, as the kalp went on, they spent the time concentrating on that red form of Lord Shiva. As they tried to realize that Brahman and for the blessings of the world, and for the desire of the welfare of their own disciples as the population would grow. They imparted instructions focusing on the dharmic, the principles, and became the favorite of all Brahma's creation. Ultimately, the end of the Kalpa was drawing near, and all of them and their Shishya practice using Namo Brahmane Vama Devaya Nama, simple Bij mantra, and living a dharmic life. They devoted themselves to becoming liberated from sin. And because they were devoid of all impurities, attained that great strength of the understanding of the Brahman, the unformed energy, and they returned to Rudra with no return, with no thought of coming back, no need. I don't need to come back to this plane, to this earthly realm. Then we go on to the next chapter. Sukdev Goswami says, dear ones, in the 31st Kalp, that is called Pita Vas, Brahma was clad in yellow in this time. And when Brahma at that time is ready again to begin creation, he thinks again about that unformed energy, that Omkar. And he calls and he prays, and clad in yellow, standing in front of him comes the sun, manifestation of Tat Purusha, this head, that has a yellow hue. He was youthful, his body pasted, you could imagine sandalwood or saffron paste on his skin. He wore garlands of yellow flowers, yellow robes. He had the golden or a yellow Yagyopavit or Janev, and he wore a yellow turban. On seeing him, Brahma, who had been japing and lost in meditation, got up and sought his blessings as he looked at him as the overlord of this universe. He saw, together with him now, in the next moment, a beautiful cow had appeared. In this kalpa, mother decides to take form. An excellent cow is standing next to the little boy. And mother in her universal form, four hoof, four face, four eyes, etc. Different kind of cow. But in the artist's depiction, you sometimes see a cow with little deotas inside. This is that moment when she forms that form, when she comes into that being. That cow, goddess herself, having different qualities imbibed within her. The cow from that moment became something to respect, something to love, some symbolism of the mother. And Brahma says, oh great goddess, oh symbol of intellect and mercy, may you come, may you come. And in this, as she's addressed all the creation at that time, as it is building, showed reverence, and they bow to Tat Purusha, and they bow to Mother. And they speak to her, oh goddess, you have enveloped the entire universe in your power, and everything is under your control. You will be called Uma upon this universe. You will become the goal of all your children. Mahadev, the preceptor of the universe, gave her to Brahma, who was engaged in meditation, forgetting his sons, by practicing her worship and doing his dhyan of the Rudra Gayatri. After meditating on the Gayatri pertaining to Rudra, Brahma became enlightened. And when he looked at the cow, there from her body emerged the sons that he's praying for, the people that will assist him again in the coming of the creation. From her body comes these boys that again had yellow costume, yellow necklace, yellow paste about their bodies. And these Brahmin boys of great caliber, great souls, due to their penance. They now in this age, in this cult, instructed those followers, disciples, men and women to engage in long and arduous sacrifices. In the system of great yoga practice, finally, one day, when they, after doing all their teachings, all their writings, all the different things, they re-merged, they came back into that Rudra. Others too seeked refuge, and because they followed into those steps of doing rigorous tapasya for 10,000 years, 5,000 years, like that, they were purified of the sins. And for that reason, free from blemishes, they would merge with Rudra and released from the cycle of rebirth. Let's now listen. I'm going to do one sloka, everybody, as we enter into the next chapter that deals with Aghora. Jai Bhole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Bhole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Bhole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Samba Sada Shiva Tab Sharanam. Ekharvana ye taravriddhe divya varsha sahastre ke सहस्त्र तू काम प्रजा ब्राह्मण चिंतयाम अघोरा दुखाय जय भोले बाबा तव शरणम जय भोले बाबा तव शरणम जय भोले बाबा तव शरणम जय सांब सदा शिव तव शरणम अघोरं तू तातो ब्रह्मा ब्रह्मण रूपा व्याचितयन्त ताथ वैद्यायामि अस्य ब्रह्मण परमेष्टिन्याः जय भोले बाबा तव शरणम 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 जय सांब सदा शिव तव शरणम जय सांब सदा शिव तव शरणम जय सांब सदा शिव तव शरणम उमापति महादेव की जय. At the lapse of the Pita Kalpa, what is also called Krishna Kalpa, when that had started, in that Kalpa, Brahma himself became very dark. He had a very dark complexion, and hence the word Krishna, the dark one. When the universe was turned into a vast body of water, after a lapse of 1,000 Brahma years, feeling painful, Brahma became weary and he wanted to create. He wanted to begin creation again. Worried about getting again this sun, he goes to Parameshtin. Brahma goes again to pray to the unformed energy. And there, that great ascetic Brahma found a boy appear before him that was very dark. The book here says black complexion. The valorous boy somehow glowed. He was clad in black clothes, his head covered with a black turban. Black rosary beads hung from his neck. Clad in black garments, complexion of his body was black to brownish. And visualizing the amount of energy, Tej, coming from that terrific soul, Aghora Brahma worshipped this form of Shiva. That is this head here on the left hand side, first head. Brahma started performing breath control again. He devoted his heart and mind towards Shiva. And then he saw the little boy transform into the Brahman, the energy, and meditating to that expansive form, 4 sons again was born. From this form of Lord Shiva, from the top of his head, came 4 boys that were also dressed in black, wearing black. All of them performed tapasya for Shiv for 1,000 years. In doing the creative process, But these Mahayogis practiced developing and holding the knowledge of yoga, recited the names of Shiva. This is where the Sahasranam of Lord Shiva comes. And after that they achieved Nirgun region of Lord Shiva, happiness, finding permanent joy. Other people who devoted their minds to Mahadev, eternal Lord Shiva, they also achieved the Rudra. The Agoric is a different style. It is a different following. Lord Dattatreya is an example of an Agoric guru. So the other night when we were talking and we were listening to his way, the Agoric believe in Jivan Mukti, that I can uplift my soul so much in this life that I would be saved here. In their belief, they embrace, because of the knowledge, because of the passage of time, they don't fight religion. They know Shiv Baba could be any and everybody. If his name is Jesus, if his name is Moses, they actually respect them. But they respect them just as how I'm repeating, Lord Shiva comes in this form, Lord Shiva comes in this form. They believe that Lord Shiva came in that form, this form. So there's no conflict. Why stress? Everything belongs to him. I'll read it for you just now in one of the Upanishads. There's no doubt that Agora is speaking to Brahma, that and I want you to remember this, that I destroy all the sins, including the person who murders a Brahman. I destroy the small, the big, the medium-sized sin, various kinds, besides mental sin, physical sin, speech type sin, sin with your body, short sin, sin that lies, that, covered expanse of time, deliberately committed sin, sins that were committed inadvertently. And an inadvertent example of sin. There's a religion called Jainism. In Jainism, like how Hindu cover their hair, they cover their nostril, like a little, piece of cloth, mesh, a mask, so that they are trying not to kill the microbes that we breed and inadvertently destroy by our breathing process. We don't mean to do it, but we know there are germs in the air. And when we breathe it in, we're going to have, according to their belief, we're going to have to unsuffocate. In this case here, when a person inadvertently commits a sin. So another example, let's say I'm driving on the road and I love dogs. But it happens sometimes you hit an animal accidentally. But I want to atone for that sin, please listen. I also destroy the sins committed towards the body of the parent. Sometimes people don't understand why we fast after the burning of the parent. Because you are trying to atone for the sin of damaging the body. And he says how much job to do using the different mantra of Aghora. Using, if a person abuses liquor, if a person abuses animals, if a person abuses sister, brother, if a person dies whilst fighting people, if a person dies in the bed of the preceptor, if the person is the killer of the mother, there's a way to atone. Now, in different texts it talks about past life, not in this life. I'm going through hardship, I'm going through difficulty, corrupt the karma from my past life, bad activity, I'm going to be reborn in this life. And maybe I am mangalik, maybe I have different type of problem, maybe my children beat me or mistreat me and I want to know what I could do or what causing it. And when you check, maybe in the Shastra they tell you about where the mole is located, where the mark is on your body, different things. Then that's the same part, we know this one. When the boy toe, the second toe is longer than the big toe, we say the wife will rule. Different marks on the body that give you a little glimpse of what life is going to be. Those marks, according to Puran, tell you of your past sin, and it is there, the purpose of marking your body. God's way of saying, listen, you need to deal with that sin. You have sin from your previous birth, and it is hindering your progress. So, if If a person commits sin in a low voice, they tell a secret, they gossip. Nobody else can hear, except for God. Then they will chant the Agoric mantra 8 times using different mudra. If you want to get this information, it's too much for me to list here. But one example, one benefit, one very simple mantra, that Rudra Gayatri, again, it can be used to appease this form. And you chant it 8 times, 12 times, 12 times, 27 times, 54 times, depending on the nature of the sin. This is why on Shivratri night we are jumping. In preparation for that, depending on the sin, the person has to mix Panchgavya. This is where we take Gau, Mutra, or the cow urine, a little bit of, how you call it, Gobar, milk, dahi, ghee, the 5 things that come from the cow. You bathe with it, you sip a little bit, and then you sit down after you wash it off and you do worship for the Lingam. And when we're using that mantra Gandha Dwara, we offer perfume and attar for the Lingam and other items. And we sit down and we do Gayatri for Rudra Devta. And the person is going to see change. The person would offer different types of flowers, palash leaves, lotus flowers, using the Agoric mantra. And they would be able to gain the blessings and forgiveness, most of the forgiveness that they are looking for. When it comes to Havan, for 100 times, 1,000 times, depending on the nature of the sin, as I said, it's listed here. Ghee, cooked rice, what we might say sweet rice. You take sticks of different type of wood, dip it in the sweet rice, and offer it swaha in the fire. Barley grain, sesame seed are also used. Different type of the dhan, where it is not husk, but remember it have hill rice and magun rice. It have red rice, black rice that is used in Devi worship. Black rice comes into play here as well. And by using these things, by observing fast during the whole day and the night, taking holy bath. What is holy bath? Somebody asked me about this one. Holy bath is a 3-step bead. 1, you take bath with the Panchgavya, the stuff from the cow. Second one, you bathe with the Bhasma. We talked about Bhasma last night. And then you take with water and you say in Gayatri and you wash everything off. Simple as that. You see it for the wedding. You see it for the Janev. You see it when the child is doing Mundan Sanskar, where they are taking a bath in lieu of the Sanskar to purify of the, the karma is coming off, the sins are coming off the person. You see it when they have the bar, the 10-day ceremony, when you go by the river to do when somebody has died. After you do the puja, time to have your little bath to symbolize cleansing. Always this holy bath that they talk about, especially when doing Shiv worship, 3 stages. By performing this, sinners become liberated of the sins of what? Being an ungrateful person, the killer of a Brahman, destroyer of a child in the womb, a murderer of a warrior, a killer of the preceptor or the teacher, a betrayer of faith, praise, a thief, the one who steals gold, defilers, drunkards, people who destroy the chastity of a woman or their wife, the person who kills a cow, the person who kills mother, the person who kills father, the person who destroys murti, the person who particularly destroys lingam. In the case of the sins that are committed in all these things, whether they mental, verbal, physical, or any other type of sin, when the person does these rites, they are able to wash that history away. Even when sins are accumulated for hundreds of births, as time is passing, he stands liberated with the performing of the aforesaid rites, using the Agoric mantra. For this reason, O Brahma, that person who does this form of worship, this head here, that person who does, sometimes this is look yellow too, golden, most murtis look golden, not yellow. Revealed in this context of the chapter on Agora, that person gains happiness. That person is always free. And for this reason, you will find that they usually, the Agora sadhus and them, they don't cling to possessions. They don't hold on to those things. But instead, as their soul has developed in understanding who Lord Shiva is, what is this life about? Why are you fighting for house, land, wife, children, when you will have to give it up? So what is permanent? Shiva. And they hold on to him, to put it simply. And the fifth head on this side, the Ishana head. In the cult called Vishwarupa, dear Shishya, Brahma prayed again. And who appears this time? Saraswati Mata appears. Standing before Brahma with beautiful white flowers upon her white sari, she brings forward a son, only with the Yagyopavit and the turban on his head. And being the mother of the universe, this one, he is called Ishana. And he has crystal type mala around his neck, Swatik Lingam, Swatik crystals around his neck. He is adored by Lord Shiva by Brahma in this form. When Lord Shiva saw Saraswati Mata, he bows down, he says, Namastute Sarva Vidya Namamishan Parameshwara. Namostute Sarva Bhutanam Ishan Vriddhavarahan. Brahmano Vipatti Tubhyam Brahmane Brahmarupane. Namo Brahm Dvaipatya Shivaya Me Astu Sadide Shiva Sada Shiva Om Omkaram Tu Devesham Sadhyo Jata Namo Nama Prapya Tvaya Panu Asi Sadhajo Namo Namam. And calling out these five names, Ishana, Vamadev, Rudra, and all the heads in this form. He called now the five heads. And in the Ishan, in the Vishwarup, Lord Shiva brought them together in this five-headed form. Namo Manomanaya Devaya Namastubhyam Mahadhyata Vamadevaya Vamanaya Namastubhyam Mahatvam Mahatejayam Jeshtaye Chaiva Shrishtam Rudra Vardhayascha Kaltrata Namastubhyam Namastutebhyam Mahateja Yarupa Namo Nama Iti. Dear, the person who chants these 8 verses, the Ashtakam for the five-headed form of Lord Shiva. That one that pays reverence to the one that rides the bull, the one who reads this narrative, the one that listens to this narrative, the prayer, the worlds that were achieved because of the devotion that Brahma practiced towards him, that person will gain everlasting happiness. And whatever they're praying for, they gain it. The person who chants this Ashtakam of the Panchmukh Shiva, when Shrad, when Nandimukh Shrad, when many people are dying, this is chanted sometime when we have to do the Panchak Shanti, when people are dying in a family, and you want it to stop. This is one way, because this counteracts the mistake somebody make in that funeral. The fasting, somebody didn't do something and it is causing havoc and pain, and you want to go across it, you want to fix it. Sometimes, truthfully, in this day and age, people get married and they get married pregnant. And when trouble comes for them, when problems start to happen in your life, you know the first thing that they say is, what did I do? When different type of turbulence comes to a person, this type of prayer to this five-headed form is utilized. And just as Brahma did, praying to this form, Lord Shiva says to the person, I am delighted with you for what you have done, for the adoration you have shown me. May you be happy. May what are you praying for? May you have it. May that universal Gau Mata remain with you, as he told Brahma here again. From Saraswati came the cow, and Saraswati Mata made in the Vishwarupa the 4 sons, and those 4 sons, the Sanatan, Sanat Kumar, etc., they remained with Brahma till currently in this cult where they are continuing to maintain this creation until such time it closes. Lord Shiva tells to Brahma, you possess the ability of understanding Sastric injunction, holy rites, pleasant speech. Pleasant speech, I could know all the prayers, but I can't speak to people. It doesn't matter. Truthfulness, compassion, Vedic knowledge, non-violence, wisdom, forbearance, meditation, closeness with the Lord, control of your senses, intelligence, intellect, fortitude, splendor, ethics. You know, imagine, just to give you an idea. Imagine I own a scale and I'm selling dal. I do prayers every day, I like my deer and so on. But I'm doing something to the scale to cheat the person. That its scale is saying 1 pound, but it's really 3/4 pound. No ethics in dealing. You know what? My God watching me. I want to do the best in my job. I want to be the honest person. I want to be the best father, mother, child in my job. Parabdha karma, in my duty. Gita says, do your duty. And in doing your duty, you will find liberation. Echoed here. That because you have these things, O Brahma, time and time again, you have always been close to me. And the goddess is always with you, and for this reason she is working with you whenever you want to do your job and make creation, whether you call her the cow, whether you call her Hema, Gauri, Maya, Vidya, how you call she, Saraswati Mata, Pradhan, Prakriti, the different forms, the different times, all work with you. She is the true creator. I will it and she makes it. Whether creation is red, white, black, yellow, green, in the different forms, she is the one, she is the manifestation. She is the one making it happen. And for this reason, when you call on the Gayatri, this is how that realization is able to come. Whenever your sons have to be created and recreated into this world, this is where they are coming from that goddess. Therefore, for the person that follows your example and utilizes this form, when there is mistakes in the record of this individual, sin-wise, karma-wise, let them utilize as simple as Rudra Gayatri or normal Gayatri. If you don't know it, I'll post it up, because if I say it, you will forget it. When you hear the names Aghora, Tat Purushai, all these things, know where it is coming from. And when you hear somebody say, he is unborn, he is never born, understand what they are saying about Lord Shiva. Because so many kalp, how many eons, how many millennia. Millennia is not a good word, and millennia is too short. We are talking about the beginning and the end of the earth is one kalp. And for how many kalp and kalp and kalp and kalp, Lord Shiva is just there. He creates himself. He comes in a form. Some days looking like this, some days he'll come like this. Some days there are so many forms, there are so many different ways, but what is he teaching you? As the Jagat Guru, as we said last night, as the Jagat Guru, he is teaching last night about the importance of knowledge over ignorance. Tonight, the importance of having faith, the knowledge, the gyan, and then practicing that knowledge. It is not good enough to only know the prayer, but you have to practice the prayer. Tonight we have learned about the five-headed form, and that's good. But if Shivratri night, I don't feel how to go. In the chapter before where we started, I'll find it for you. You have a verse I was reading. Obstacles in prayer. Aye Shivaratri Bambola, Aye Shivaratri Bambola, Shiva Shivaratri Bambola, Dasadhyavi Prajayante Moni, Yorgantarakaka, Akalasyan cha pravritayascha Gurutva kalpa chitayoha. Obstructions in yogic exercises of prayer crops up in 10 different forms. The first is laziness, sickness, restlessness, doubt, disturbances of the mind, faithlessness, confusion, misery, disappointment, and attractions or being attracted to worldly pleasures, whether it be women, money, or other things. Of these, laziness is the most prominent. Laziness is the biggest demon in many people's life. Tonight, as you listen about the five-headed form, tonight as you listen to the power of Lord Shiva and the scope of his work, remember, faith is knowledge about your God, about Lord Shiva, but the tapasya or the practice, working the knowledge, holding the jap mala, wearing the appropriate color, offering the appropriate bay leaf or a flower, or doing the tirat, going to the temple, singing for him in different ways, little things, but doing it. And when you practice and you work your faith, that devotion, you start to use that shraddha and you start to milch the puja. From that little puja, you will get so much blessings and forgiveness that you will lose all the baggage. Remember, whether Pandit, Swami, Sadhu, all of us, if we were great, if we were so great, I wouldn't be here, or better than me, wouldn't be here. We would have been with God. But like you, we are all sinful people. We have this road to walk where we are trying to get back to Prabhu. In the Isha Vasya Upanishad, taken from the Yajur Veda, the first verse, as I was reading this morning, know that all this, whatever moves in this moving and changing universe, is wrapped, is covered, is enveloped by God. It is created, it is inside of God. Therefore, find your enjoyment in giving up this world, giving up all the different things that we are fighting to have. Do not covet, do not fight for what belongs to another person. That will go two ways. Don't fight for the land as the neighbor one, be honest. And then secondly, in my example, let's just say this pen is an asset. Does this really belong to me? What do you really own? Is this yours? When life leaves the body, this has to remain right here for somebody else, whether it's the son-in-law or the daughter-in-law, somebody else coming for this. You are just holding it for the time. So for that reason, it belongs to somebody else. Don't fight for it. Don't fool yourself that this belongs to you. The only thing that God gave you truthfully is the time you have. And in that little time, by doing these type of acts, by doing these type of activities, engaging in these types of worship, understanding these forms, understanding the true form of Lord Shiva, then a person is able to get closer and closer to him. Otherwise, all we're doing is we're fooling yourself. Prem Solo Mahapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. Tonight, as we conclude, this is, in conclusion, this is where we see him. He's revealed in this Jalandhar Shiv Puran Katha, and we learn in Lingam Puran the origin, and it spans great amount of time, and it explains the birthless comment that he is always there. Creation, dissolution, but he is always there. There is no birth of Lord Shiva. There is no cracking of an egg and Lord Shiva appears. No. Lord Shiva is constant. And for that reason, we worship him the way that we worship him. He says in our discourse when Parvati Mata wants to know what will win you over. You are so powerful. You are so great. What will win you? And he says, when a person practices ardent, genuine devotion, that person will win me. When the person uses, if you don't know Gayatri, if you don't know all the Agoric mantras, if you don't know none of it, use Om Namah Shivaya. And that simple prayer with heartfelt devotion will bring him to you. And you will see him starting in your dream. And that Lord Shiva will dance in your life. When moments of stress and difficulty come, that God will save you. But you have to have the faith in him. That when you get frightened, you call on him. When you dream something, you call on him. And if you're not doing that, what are you doing? And who are you calling to? Think about that. If you have one Savior in your life, and you're not calling him, tonight I'm asking you, everybody, who are you calling in times of stress and danger? Tonight as you are viewing, please remember to leave me a comment. Have you ever heard the discourse of the Panchmukh Lord Shiva? Have you ever done his puja? That's a different story. Please share this for other people to learn. And tonight, as we conclude, I remind you, tomorrow night is our last night. If you have any requests on what you would like to hear, anything, send me a message and I'll deal with it after. Alright, everybody? Tonight, as we conclude our puja, as we conclude our yagya, tomorrow night is our last night. I invite you all to join us. Same 7 o'clock, going on to the 9 o'clock. If you're watching on the repeat on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed your discourse. I hope you learned something. Okay, everybody, please at this time, join your hands as we do final pratna. Om Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Banduscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Together, Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Prem Sulamapati Mahadeva ki Jai, Pavana Sutta Hanuman ki Jai, Shri Adi Shakti Mata ki Jai, Vindra Bihari Lal ki Jai, Satya Sanatan Dharma ki Jai. Jai Jai Sitaram. Everybody from me and Priya Mata, all keep good and have a safe night. Sitaram, everybody. Till tomorrow. Bye bye.